I'm having a good time.
And then the doctor couldn't pull it out again.
Welcome to Book Club.
Except instead of books, it's games.
Oh, and instead of a club, there's us two.
But the rest of the idea is 100% the same.
As every fortnight, we play one game solidly.
Then come here to talk about it.
And we want you to do the same.
All the games are retro.
Most of them are SEGA.
Some of them we've never played.
Or, we've just forgotten we've played them.
Because we're old.
Because we're old! Because we're old.
Because we're old.
The Book Club has one central theme.
We play retro games for their quality.
Games that deserve to still be played.
There are some bonus old man memories to be had, but you don't need nostalgia if the game is awesome.
We're going to prove it.
In the Book Club.
Hello, I'm Bedgel, and this is...
Ibs ahoy.
Yeah.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm alright. I don't know why I said that in such a weird, surprised way. I'm Bedgel? As if I didn't know who the hell I was. But I am. Look.
Is that who you are? Are you still the same Bedgel you are as you were when you woke up this morning? Or...
Man, this is getting deep. Psychological, one might say. If only we had a game that delved into the that area of things.
Oh yeah.
And we do indeed, in fact, because I'm not gonna beat around the Christmas bush. I'm gonna dive straight in by asking you to tell us what the game is.
Oh, okay, okie dokie. Well, it's an all-time classic, an absolute beauty from back in the day, as all of these games are actually. That's not really anything new. But
Oh,
Christmas Nights into Dreams.
I gotta
original
just
copy is absolute beauty.
Now I do believe this is my original copy, but I think as we remember, I think we were talking about just before. I always thought I got mine in the box with the Sega Saturn.
You should have done. Maybe
Yeah.
they did. I don't know, because if you bought it at Christmas when they were doing the deal that when you just bought the console you get the game. At least that's what I thought it was. But this one I had to get this when I picked up Fighting Vipers.
And I
got this nice little case here.
Hi, Clarice. Oh, look at the little
Hello,
token.
Clarice.
I don't remember ever having the cardboard sleeve, so I think this is all I ever owned. And the thing is,
because
it does.
I remember that being on Saturn magazine.
It does have a little bit of glue just there, which makes you think that this was attached. But I don't know. Could have been
Saturn magazine.
Could have been attached to the front of the box. Could have been anywhere. I definitely
I
definitely didn't have it during Christmas. Like I didn't have it in Advent because I was unable to take part in the festivities. But maybe around yours. Should we also share some of our other goodies? For those that can't see what we're doing, this is Japanese Christmas nights. I do believe you've got the same look at that beauty.
I do.
Although I actually only just got this because you remember, like, I did the little Japanese bundle with a load, and this was.
Oh, you got it with that?
It was just in with the console, and as I've said loads of times, whenever you get stuff from Japan, man, they're in good condition. This is this is like absolutely mint. So
this is like it's brand new or something. But actually, I say that this one is like it's brand new. However, this is the second copy of Japanese Christmas Nights I got, because I don't know if the CD got like brittle or something over the last 28 whatever years or something. But I was taking it out on my Saturn one time, and it kind of caught on the kind of like the spinner, and it cracked right across the disc. And I was like, no.
So just on those little metal ball bearings that are in, that are on the CD tray.
Lifting it out.
Oh.
Just lifted it out. It like caught it funny, and it like literally cracked from the middle, like kind of about halfway across. And I was like, oh, it might be okay. It might be okay. Tried it. No, I ain't having it. So,
I can't listen to this.
Copy number 2.
This is the Christmas issue. Halloween's been and gone, dude. Stop telling me horror stories. But there's one more thing we've got to show.
Go
it's
on. Not as bad as Dan from the Sega guys, Panzer Dragoon Saga story, but it's pretty traumatic all the same. So.
We still feel for you, brother. We still feel for you.
We do. Oh man.
We got to show them pads. Just before we move on, because I think we've both got a little pair of beauties. There we go.
Okay.
A black and a white.
Yeah, I've got the black one. That's my original PAL one, and I've got this one still in the box.
Still in the box.
Just imported from Japan. I haven't actually tried it yet because of like I want to keep it nice because I want to preserve like these bad boys as long as I can. So I'm gonna wring out all the life from this one before I kind of actually I really should just test it. It's alright, shouldn't I? But
please do test it.
Yeah.
Not that we can really return
it's gonna
it.
be easy to return. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty tricky, but
although they'd never expect it if we did rocking up in Yokohama.
Excuse me.
I was trying to do the apparel loop.
Yeah.
Now, I think the fact we started this episode by going through our goodies, which we don't normally do, it really tells you something about nights and Christmas nights, because it is a one of a kind. It is something really to be treasured. It's something that Saturn owners really love, right? I mean,
totally.
It's got a special place in your heart. Your Christmas nights, where did you get yours from? So mine, we think, was in the Saturn box, maybe on the front of the magazine. Where did you get yours from?
So my whole thing with getting Christmas nights,
I can feel some
was
rage
a bit
coming.
of a well, we'll see how this develops. So basically, I mean, when I first saw about Christmas nights, the way they were saying it, and it was going to be either in SEGA Saturn magazine or Me Machine Sega, it would have been, and they were saying basically if you bought 2 of the big Sega games that Christmas, you could then get this free copy of Christmas Nights. And I was trying to think of what those games were, and like off the top of my head, it would have been Daytona CCE, Virtua Cop 2, Fighting Vipers. I don't remember if it was something like Virtual One. Maybe there was another one in the mix. I can't actually remember when that came out, but basically, like, I mean, the first 3 were definitely in there.
Yeah, and just a reminder to the doubters, there were some big games. There were so many big games coming out on the Sega side. You can't even list them all.
It wasn't quite as like, as quite as impressive as the year before when they had the big 3 kind of like around that kind of time. But this was the next batch that were like of impressive like games, like a lot of arcade conversions and stuff. So but basically, very, very good. Like, I mean, I play the heck out of Fighting Vipers like all the time, like even now. So basically, what happened was, I think it was I kind of was like, oh man, you got to get 2 of these games. I haven't got enough money to get 2. I'm just gonna have to miss the game basically. And I was like, that sucks, because I love like Nights, because we've been playing it like a lot in the preceding months. And then there was a copy of an issue of CVG that came out, and I can't remember if it was actually this one or if it was the one before it, but I remember that it had like a gold kind of cover and had Knights in his like Christmas gear, and he was like literally right there on the front cover. And it was I think it was that one, or it might have been the one before, but it basically said you only had to buy 1 of these big games.
Nice.
And I was like, oh dude, like I'm in there. And so it's like the first thing I'm doing is like, right, when's this game coming out? Because I think I had my Christmas money and Fighting Vipers was already out. And like, I think basically the sensation I had was this money was burning a hole in my pocket. It's like, I could go and get Fighting Vipers right now because I really, really, really wanted that game. But I was like, I've got to kind of have a bit of self-control here because the Christmas Nights deal ain't happening yet. So it's like, basically, I think I went down to Electronics Boutique at one particular point, and like it was like too early. They weren't doing the Christmas Night. They didn't even have them in stock or something like that. And I was like, right, when is this thing coming out? Give me the dates. Give me the exact times. I will be there. And so I think it was like, it wasn't long after that. It was like maybe a week or 2. I want to say it might even been like a week and a half. I kind of have that in my head. But it was, the shop opened and there I was. And so I was in there buying Fighting Vipers, and I was like, right, you giving me that copy of Christmas Night, because I could see them. They were in there. There was this box, and it would be really cool to have this box if it was still around somewhere. It was like a nice Christmas Nights box, and it had all the copies in it like that, lined up. Yeah, and I was like, oh, what happened to those boxes? That would be so cool. But I was like, right, you're giving me this game, right? You're giving me this game. And there was this dude. He was the manager guy. I never forget him. He looked exactly like the villain from Knight Rider who drives the Juggernaut in Night of the Juggernaut. I swear, if you put them next to each other, you couldn't tell the difference. Like, those two don't want to be in a police lineup because there would be all kinds of confusion. But like, he suddenly starts chiming in like, "Oh, we're not supposed to be giving them out yet. We're not supposed to be giving them out." And like I said this on the SEGA guys. Like, it was the only time in my life that I can actually remember standing up for myself. And I suddenly turned into this English nobleman, like, "Kind sir, you shall like give me a copy of Christmas Nights, and I will not leave your establishment without it. So my advice is to hand it over immediately." Something I don't know, but like, basically, I was very, very firm. Like, I am not leaving here unless you give me that copy of Christmas Nights with my copy of Fighting Vipers. And like, somehow, like, I managed to like bend their arm, and they did give me the game, even though he was still going early and all this stuff. But it's like, whatever, dude, give me the game. Because I think I actually said, "Look, I'm not buying it unless you give me that game." I wonder if that actually might have like been like what it was that kind of made him.
You can write off that Christmas bonus, buddy, because if I ain't buying
exactly. Yeah,
I love that, and we had to start with that. So we had to let that demon out of the bag. We had to exercise the pain of that moment at the start of this. I feel like, I was going to say at the start of it, I was getting the vibes, you know, Steve Martin Planes Trains at the counter, like rental car counter. I thought that's where we were going, but it went posh. It went, "Kind sir, desist from your grumbling."
That's the kind of dude I am. You see, I'm
he's in there,
kind of upper class guy.
So angry dibs, angry dibs is posh dibs.
It always makes me laugh, kind of like, you know, it's like a kind of funny alternate kind of situation, like when James the Sega-holic kind of tells his tale about, I think like it was slightly after Christmas, or it was getting really close to Christmas, and there was a table set out outside like Electronics Boutique, and they were just like, "Get these things out of here." just take as many copies as you want or something. Because if I'd have seen that kind of thing in the one that I went to, I would have been like loading them up. But yeah, I was literally counting down the actual seconds to this thing being available. And it was like, you know, I just feel like it's so treasure. I mean, like, look at the corners of that thing. That has got not a blemish on it.
That is
why
pristine.
I have.
What I'm seeing here looks
that's
brand
what it
new.
means to me.
Yeah.
That is like how much I kind of revere this thing, you know. That's like, I kind of treat it with that kind of respect and dignity of that moment of trying to get it, like how much it meant. So,
I was picturing if that had been you outside the other Electronics Boutique, the Sega-holic version, you would have been another Steve Martin character. "I don't need anything except this and this and this." Taking them all. That was an impression of the jerk.
And I need this.
I need these 10 copies of Christmas Nights. So I feel maybe with the telling of that story, we're ducking the hard issues of the day, which we've trailed when we were talking about rares, and we said we were going to address it, which is we're going to have to have a pop and explain in Nights, because obviously there are many people that have not played Nights that either don't fancy it, have never touched it, never seen it, don't have the kit or whatever. So to try and lure them in, as if our fine recommendation is not enough, let's have a little crack at trying to describe what is this game, Nights and Christmas Nights. So I'm going to give you the honour of having first go.
Oh, throw me under the bus.
That's right. Anyway. It's a Christmas bus though, so feel festive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was saying like about how this is not my first time trying to explain Nights to someone. And yes, it reminds me of a party I went to in the 90s where I had a very drunk individual hanging around with me, and we had the Saturn set up, and I was trying to explain to him how to play Nights, and nothing was registering. He was just very, very confused, but I will do my best to do a better job now. So
maybe a little irony of it is that a drunk person explaining a night out is kind of how it feels to describe Nights. So anyway, off you go.
I suppose it is like a wayward dream or something like that. You're not sure if it's real or what's happening, but that is quite Nights-like actually. So basically, I mean, at the heart of it, it's a score attack game, isn't it? So you're playing Nights, this little jester kind of looking character who's neither a girl nor a boy, because like the two main characters, Elliot and Clarice, they can kind of turn into this kind of guy. Well, I say guy, there we go. But you know, like so basically Knights is this character who flies through these levels collecting chips, and the basic gist of it is you have to collect up 20 chips, drop it into this machine, and then you can use whatever time is remaining that's been allotted to you to basically do a kind of score attack thing. And then in Christmas Nights you end up having to then finish before the timer runs out by flying into this cake looking thing. And then you do that across 4 tracks, because it's like it's kind of locked to a kind of 2D plane even though you're flying through 3D looking levels. And that's kind of like the gist of it, I suppose. Like from the pure gameplay perspective, it's a score attack kind of thing, right?
I think that's
right.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I'd be interested to know if someone had never played it, if they get it. I guess it's key, like that it's a 3D game, like the world is 3D, but like you said, you're on effectively a 2D plane, because you get X and Y movement. You know, you can go up and freely, you can go right and left freely, you know, you can move 360 freely, but not in the Z-axis. So you can't go into the 3D world. You follow that predetermined plane through the 3D world. And that is crucial, I guess, for the freedom of the flight bit, because you don't...
Yeah, that's the flight bit. Because you can actually, like, if you run out of time, you basically get knocked back into your human version, don't you? And then you can walk freely across the landscape and stuff, but you're being hunted down by this clock that's like in this kind of shell that's broken in half. And if this kind of like beam looking thing that hangs out of the bottom of it like catches you, you get then basically that's how you get game over, didn't it?
I'm just laughing because I love this, because like the more we try to capture the spirit of it,
like, how did we even understand this back in the day?
I don't know if we did understand it, but it sounds exactly like you've had a dream and you're trying to describe it to someone, and and maybe that's a great thing. I guess we said when we were talking before, I think the key things are, it's the freedom of movement, the freedom of flight, the fluidity, the smoothness, and the enjoyment of the way Knights moves around. That is a huge part of the gameplay. It's kind of that's not what the game is, but like in terms of playing Knights, that's what you take away with you. It's like this immense sense of freedom of movement that you get from it. So
yeah, totally. And it's very nice feeling, because you've got the analog pad with full like analog control, so it just feels great. Like where you want to go, you press that direction, and that's where he heads, you know. So it's it plays great. It's just like I don't know, it's like just feels perfect with the analog pad. It's amazing. So
I mean, so we have a piece coming out at some point on the channel which we'll talk about that relationship in more depth, because the Knights analog pad, or the 3D control pad, is so perfect for Knights, almost at the expense of other games, because they created the thumbstick, or I suppose the thumb ball, I guess you call it, in such a way that it is beautiful for doing 3D rotation, like for moving 360 circular rotation.
Yeah, the power loops feel great,
which is amazing. But that actually makes it then quite hard to do subtle movements where you just sort of need to move sort of left and right on the axis in something like, for instance, SEGA.
I mean, they developed it alongside Knights, didn't they? So it was
totally.
like made for...
and that is beautiful. So I think we've tortured ourselves long enough. If you didn't fully comprehend how good Knights is from that amazing explanation, just so you could go and play it. So I guess the other mystery of Christmas Nights specifically, so Knights as a game is wonderful, and obviously we love it, but this is about Christmas Nights. So the other mystery of Christmas Nights is why they did it at all, because this is not a demo level. This is not just like other game demos of the time where they've just given you the first level or a level to play, or some kind of limited version of the game. This is very much like something created as a bundle of Christmas joy from Knights, and it is a smaller version of it, but it is more than a demo. So what's the other stuff that we need to get across? Like, oh, I know we should start seeing. Why did they do it? That's what we were talking about, wasn't it? It's like, why would they release something which was essentially a complete gift? It was a freebie, but it was really quite in depth and well designed.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think
why, Sega? Why?
well, I think they knew they had something special on their hands, didn't they, with Knights? And you know, and more of it was certainly what I was interested in at the time. So yeah, basically they wanted. I think one of the ways they pitched it was like it was almost like a reward for being a Saturn fan, or something like. You know, they wanted to give something back because I mean, you know, the tides had already turned from the Mega Drive days. You know, the PlayStation was out, and there was already they were feeling this heat and that all this sort of stuff, and it was like, you know, they wanted to do something nice for Saturn fans, and
that's definitely how it felt at the time, right? I mean, you know, we were that group which was like, we loyally love this system.
We were like, thank you.
And maybe just needed a little shot in the arm because, you know, we would get on a hammer from all quarters.
Oh my life, the battering I took at college was just like unreal. It's just oh my life. But it was like, and there was no one to defend me. You know, nobody had a Saturn. It was like all PlayStation guys like telling me about Tekken and whatever and all that stuff. Like, Tekken's really good. You know, it like zooms in and stuff. Yes, they took it from Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
But like, anyway,
tell me more, whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, like, of course, none of them had played it. They had no idea. And but I was very, very content with my Saturn, with Knights, and when Christmas Nights came out, yeah, it was just like it was that gift, you know, and it was just. It made my Christmas. I'll be completely honest. It was one of my happiest Christmases, and it was a big part of it because, like, you know, we were young, we were having a laugh. It was like getting hold of this thing was like just this big deal and things. And then, you know, would you remember we would go around the shops and we would do this thing called Christmas jollying, where we would like just be, you know, taking part in everything that was going on and like trying to take it all in, like the carol singers and the decorations and blah blah blah, all this stuff. And it's like, I actually remember, like, I think I have this weird memory that it actually kind of snowed, not on Christmas Day, but pretty close to Christmas. And I remember, like, we walked out to the middle of these fields and was like lying in the snow and stuff, like making the angels and all that. And it was like, you know, it was just this great Christmas, and Christmas Nights was all part of it because it made it feel great. And just like, yeah, it was just a blast. But I think from a more technical perspective, they kind of had a bit of a window, didn't they, where they didn't have enough time to make a whole new game. But what they could do is kind of adapt Nights into this Christmas Nights thing. So, and that is what it is, isn't it? It's like they took what was the level? Spring Valley. So that was the first level on Claris's side.
Yeah.
And they Christmasified it, so they put snow everywhere, had all these like candy canes and all this sort of stuff, made it look really cool. And yeah, basically that was the kind of starting block. And then Elliot, actually, he never had a track in Spring Valley. His first one was like, I think it was Splash Garden, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so they basically set him up a route for his side of the Christmas Nights game. So it was like a brand new track basically. So yeah, it was really cool, and it was, like I say, we just had so much fun playing it. It was a complete blast. And
I mean, I definitely read that thing saying I think they had a planned big ticket Christmas launch game lined up for that Christmas, and it just wasn't ready on time. So it was like it was some title that was in development. I don't know which one it was, I can't remember.
Yeah,
but it wasn't going to be ready, and so they effectively Sonic team got together and were like, well, what can we do? Oh, I know, we could do this thing.
Yeah. And they were inspired, weren't they? I think Yuji Naka had seen there was for Lemmings a Christmas expansion pack that they'd done.
Yeah. And
he kind of was inspired by that and was like, oh, that would be like a really cool thing to do for Nights. And that's where that kind of grew out of, because actually, like, I mean, I don't really remember too much about expansion packs or anything before that. I mean, like, I'm not PC kind of player or anything like that, but you know, I don't know if like a bunch of that stuff was going on, but I do remember Lemmings having this Christmas kind of additional kind of content, and I thought like, oh, that's pretty cool. And
it's one of those things that stuck with it, actually. Like, you know, a lot of films become Christmas films just because they happen to have a scene at Christmas, or the episodes from a series make you think of Christmas. And Lemmings kind of always had that vibe, you know, it's up, plinky plonky music was quite kind of Christmas fitting.
Yeah.
I suppose.
It was super cheerful. Yeah. I love that stuff. But Sonic Team kind of embraced that whole kind of thing. So I think we were talking about just before we started filming. Like, I remember my first ever actual DLC that I downloaded was on the Dreamcast, and it was in Sonic Adventure, and they'd actually put in the square there, like the Christmas tree. I thought that was so cool, like downloading that onto my VMU and being like, oh man, this is incredible. I've like changed the game. It's like this new thing is there, and when you buy the game, that's not there.
Exactly. I think that's right. It is regarded as the first the first DLC. Whether PC gamers had like patches and stuff, I don't know. But this consoles and more widely recognised, people said this is the first DLC. So that's
it was
fair
it
play
was a
to Sonic
rarity,
team.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
But like, didn't you say something earlier about there was a particular item that the tree then covered or something?
Well, it basically goes that if you were like, if you hadn't played through the game, so the way that the way the game flows is you have to pick up an ID card. I think in order to get through
a level.
Speed Highway, you have to get an ID card. I forget where you have to take it, but you have to basically take it somewhere. And the ID card is on a patch of ground in this like central courtyard. If you do the DLC, this massive Christmas tree appears exactly where the card is, and so you can't get it. So if you haven't already got it and unlocked and gone on, you are screwed.
You're in big trouble.
Happy Christmas! You can't play this game.
Oh man, nightmare.
I think you basically have to delete the DLC off the VMU.
I guess you would, wouldn't you? Just get it back to normal. But...
Sucks. But a gap in the schedule, just being generous, and I think you started with that. I think one of the other big reasons why they were doing it is because they had made an amazing game, and it hadn't become a huge, massive commercial success, a huge critical success, and a huge success with fans. And I don't know off the top of my head what its sales performance was, the main Knights game at the time, and how it's performing, but it needed more. It was so good. Even if it had sold well, it needed more. But I definitely had the impression at the time, like, that they wanted to give the game itself a bit of a shove. You know, it was a promo for the game,
and that's what it was.
So
definitely, it was like, guys, have a look at what we've made here. And it was like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it did shift a bunch more copies because it was so good.
Yeah.
That, like, you know what I mean? It's like they needed to get that into people's homes and get it under people's noses.
Because it gives you enough, because you get like the 4, what do they call them, acts in this, or the 4 bits of each level, each for Elliot's and for Claris's version of Spring Valley. So you get quite a lot of gameplay out of it, and so it certainly gives you enough of a feel to see what you're dealing with. Let's talk about what you actually do get then. So that's the first bit. So you get the 3D world Spring Valley with a course within that, like we were describing on 2-play, like set up for Elliot, and another one set up for Claris. So you get 2 versions of that, and then you get to fight the final boss, which it's Gilwing, right? I always forget the names.
Gilwing.
Christmas Gilwing. Doesn't he wear a Christmas hat? I only played.
He's altered, and in Elliot's stage they reverse him. So like
left
when you start
right,
off on Claris's, he's going the opposite direction, which actually really threw me because I'm so used to chasing after him in Claris's level. So when it was the other way around, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like I kind of get a bit so I can see the head, and then I do my loop, and it was like it just wasn't happening. I think the best I got was like a 1.5.
Well, I do have a muscle memory for the paraloops in a certain direction. I mean, and I guess I forget which way round I found it easy because I was doing both. But so you get that, and then of course you get a whole bunch of unlockables. So main thing is like you can like you complete the game. So you do the 4 stages and defeat Gilwing with one of the characters, and then you get to have, is it 5 or 6 goes at the memory game? So like a matching pair game, like a memory game. Then you get 6 goes or 5. I don't remember.
I think it's something like that. But I mean, like it's done in the form of presents, isn't it? So you have to match the pictures and basically not hit a Reala picture, because then you just lose all your turns, don't you?
So like any matching pair go, if you get 2 the same, then you win effectively, or unlock that present, and then you can open it. And if you unlock one with Reala, kind of the evil version of Knights, then it's game over. So even if that's your first go, it's game over. And last year,
you lose your tries.
Last year when I was doing this, so we were doing the score attack challenge, and I was also thinking, this is great because I like unlock all the presents. I had a new memory card, whatever you call it. What is the thing called? Memory cards for the Saturn. So I didn't have a save game basically.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, I can unlock all the presents, and every go for the first 5 goes, I got a reality the first thing.
Oh
like,
man, that is unfortunate.
Like it was like I had a homing beacon for it. I know, and so I barely unlocked anything. But if you get the matching pairs, you unlock the presents, and the presents are really good. And this is kind of the nights. The fact you get to play nights and you get these dedicated Christmassy levels is the main thing, and that's fantastic. But this is as big because the presents you get. Do you want to reel them off? And I'll kind of I've got them.
Okay, I mean, I suppose starting small, you kind of get some museum kind of things, don't you? So you can look at a bunch of the CGI renders.
Yeah.
There's a few of those that you can get, but then it starts kind of ramping up a bit, and you get. I mean, I remember one of the early ones that I unlocked was the karaoke mode, so you can sing along to "Dreams, Dreams," which is like the famous end song of Nights. And
once you've heard it, you'll be humming it for the whole rest of the night. Because when we came into this, we were both singing it for about 20 minutes.
I was this close to having it as my wedding song. This close. When I left that church, it was like I still almost kind of wish that I did it.
I mean, dude, if you want to give us a little clue, you can feel free. If you feel an urge to sing, I'm just going to say, you can
in a dream I can see you, and I'm doing the a cappella version. Not far away. Anyway, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to watch this back.
You do the shoulders. Myself. You do the sexy shoulders as well. It's good.
Like that?
Yeah, I'm loving that. That's great stuff. So you get,
so basically, you get that. One of the other really cool things you get that I really like, because I'm into the music. We'll come on to the music, obviously, but you get the music box.
Yeah.
So basically, and to do with the A-Life system, you can basically make different arrangements of all the songs in Nights. Although at some point on my version, it always locks the Jack Frost theme, and then I can't go back because I remember at one point I was playing around with it, and it was like the Spring Valley, the Suburban Museum, all the regular levels, and you could play around with them and make your different arrangements and stuff. But then for some reason, and it's done it on the PAL version and the Japanese version, and I don't know if it's to do with the time, because
maybe a clock thing,
Yeah, it must be something like that. I'm doing it the wrong time of year, but it kind of locks that out, and then you're stuck on this one kind of song that you can then arrange. I'm doing something wrong somewhere. If anyone knows what I'm doing wrong, let me know in the comments, because I really want to play.
Dude, I've got the answer for you. Nights hates you. That's the only answer. I guess we could give a little description. I won't go into the full depth because it evades me to describe this as much as it did with Nights. But Nights features this A-Life system. So within the game are the creatures, the little Nightopians, right? And depending on how they're feeling and how you treat them, and that's as much description as I'll give. The game reacts to it, and one of the ways it reacts is with the music changing. And you were saying in the music box, that's what you can fiddle around with. You can kind of recreate these feelings and moods of the music.
Yeah, so I think basically it's very good the way they've done it, very clever. Like every track is divided up into kind of 6 kind of sections, and you have kind of a 5 variants, I think it is, of the part of the song. So it's visually it's kind of represented with sad Nightopians all the way up to very happy Nightopians and all the ones in between. So you can kind of have a sad part of the starting the song, and then go right to the happiest part, and then have some bits in between. You can just do your own arrangements and play around with it, and a lot of it is, like you say, it's reflected by if you accidentally kill friendly creatures or something like that in level by accidentally power looping them. And I think there are little eggs around the place, and you can actually, as Nights, fly down to them and birth them, however you would call opening an egg, and so the more kind of Nightopians that fill the level, the more the happiest level gets,
which is really great and cute, but also really annoying, because when Nights births, and this feels wrong to describe like this, when Nights births an egg, he basically holds onto it, slightly caresses and nurtures it just for a bit, smile.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if he does smile. I always had the impression he kind of smiles at it.
I don't know.
And then flies
really
off again. But when you're trying to fly around and do the level and get the scores and go quick, that's really annoying.
Yeah. Like there's some enemies that grab you, and I hate that. And some of them grab you, and like you lose like a 5 seconds if you don't hammer the thing
those guys.
like fast enough. I know, because it just kind of ruins what you're kind of doing. But basically, that's kind of like how the A-Life system kind of works, because basically you fill the place with like birth Nighttopians, and they're all cheery and happy. The music is very like bouncy and cheerful and happy, whereas if like there's hardly any of them left, and like enemies are all over the place, like it's playing all the kind of like more downbeat kind of versions, like all in the kind of more of a minor kind of feel, kind of thing,
It's subtle, but it's noticeable.
It's a good idea.
It's good, and it's good you can play around with it. So as far as I'm aware, you couldn't do that in nights. This is an unlockable in Christmas nights. I might have that wrong, but
no, you can do it in regular nights, because actually one of the things that I did in my regular nights, because actually in terms of memory space, like there's the nights like basic settings is like one kind of memory slot, and I think the A-Life system is a second memory slot. And what I really didn't want like the A-Life system to alter Suburban Museum, because it's like my favorite one. So what I did is I filled up my memory to the point where it could save the actual night settings and score, but there wasn't enough room left for it to have A-Life. So basically it kind of cancelled out that whole thing.
So what you're telling me, you're a destroyer of worlds. You're basically like, it's like an episode of Futurama where they create another world in another dimension and then destroy it by pulling the power plug. You just did that.
But I really didn't want them to change the Suburban Museum.
Dude, I can hear the collective screams of thousands of Nighttopians just listening to this.
Listen, I had to do what I had to do.
But no, I mean, so A-Life's in Nights, but I mean, is the remixing fiddle around with the music bit in Nights as well, or is that just
the music changes?
But can you control it in like a
no, like the music box, from what I remember, there's no option that you like the music box is like a treat in Christmas nights,
that's what I mean,
play around with it.
Even for Nights fans, there was like stuff in there which was proper, I was going to call it Easter eggs. It's Christmas presents. It's like mixing up my seasons.
So it was like a good fun thing, like because we'd clocked it in the regular nights. Like I say, I did that thing, so it didn't change the music, but like just being able to
clocked
play
it by
with
destroying their universe. It's great.
But like just hearing what all the music sounded like if you just cranked it up to the fullest happy settings and all that stuff was like that was a thing that we never got to do until Christmas night.
Crank
really
it up,
cool,
DJ Destroyer. I like it.
Oh yeah.
So you could also get a link attack mode, time attack mode. Link attack, I particularly enjoy it. I think if you're like, it's only on one small stage, so it's not got a lot of longevity, or at least mine. That's all I've played.
Yeah, it's on Frozen Bell. Yeah,
Frozen Bell. But it is really handy for getting your eye in. So as I found, obviously you haven't played this for months. Coming back to it and then just getting your eye in, getting your paraloops, like hitting your links, just kind of remembering the feel of it. It's actually so good to do it on the link attack mode, because you just you get freedom. There's not a clock, there's not an end to the level. You can just keep going and trying and stuff. And it's great. And then a real, you think you would call this an Easter egg despite being the time of the year, but Sonic. So
yes, Sonic the Hedgehog Into Dreams. So that was actually like a big one. It's one of the ones that kind of, I think they wait till later to let you have. You have to go through several pages of presents before you get this one. But like basically it was the first ever kind of 3D polygon representation of Sonic that they actually did. And I think it predated like Sonic Jam and stuff by like a year or something like that. So it was cool just to see Sonic in this kind of 3D kind of setting, but at the same time,
cool
it was
but
like,
nervy.
it's fun. It's like you can see that. My feeling was like to see that. Yeah, it's really cool, and the bit they do in Sonic Jam is better than this. But I think it was probably right for Sonic as a character to almost wait until the technology was good enough to do him justice. So like when the Dreamcast came along and they did Sonic Adventure, the the level of the power in the Dreamcast kind of, did well to do a Sonic game, whereas kind of like seeing these kind of things, you just kind of don't really know how well they could have pulled it off, because it is fun, but you're basically running across the Knight's landscape collecting up the chips, and then you end up it's pretty cool actually, like you fight a kind of version of Puffy, I think is it Puffy, the big round kind of ball, like the kind of opera singing kind of thing, but it's done up in the Robotnik kind of style, and instead of like flying into it, you're jumping onto it as Sonic and then throwing it down the corridor kind of thing through all the barriers and that. But it was definitely like an interesting
it's a cool unlockable
addition.
It was like exciting to see it, but the thing is, well, in the full 3D like human mode, or hedgehog mode in this case, like the frame rate starts to show up a bit, and I suppose the quality of the textures and the exploration shows up a bit. And I always thought like Sonic's physics, they'd thrown it in basically. You never hold it against them, but Sonic's physics were not great. Like I just thought,
it was kind of like it was a first crack of the whip, as I tend to say a lot, apparently, according to my wife. But it's
really, what are you two getting up to? Goodness gracious, revelations!
Oh, dude.
The thing was, I mean, it had some historical importance, because obviously Knights as a game was quite bluntly instead of Sonic. Yuji Naka had come back from his travels in America to like make Sonic 3 and Sonic 4. They'd done Sonic games every year for like 4 years or so, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he essentially said to Sega, "Look, I need a rest from this. Like, let's rest the series for a bit."
Which you can understand.
Yeah. Like, give me a year. Like, let me make a different game. Like, so they'd started to form the view of Knights and what they wanted to do with Knights. But I think even if he said to them, just let me do something else. But he had said, let me have a year and I'll do this. Knights then took 2 years to make. And so basically pushed back the whole schedule, by which point Mega Drive had died off. And so there was no kind of going back there. Saturn was already starting to struggle. And I think... and so Sonic as a game never happened. So seeing it in Knights was, it's a little throw in the bone. It's a little bit of, we haven't forgotten him, but it was a bonus. It was cool.
Yeah, there's a whole load of other kind of stories that I've seen like over the years about what happened with Sonic, like Sonic Extreme, I think it was, that was supposed to be on the Saturn, but Yuji Naka wasn't like sharing the Knights engine or something. He wasn't keen on letting people have it.
Play nice, Yuji.
But like he basically, I think they just thought, like a lot of people, that it would be cool to use it because they're all on the same team, what I mean? They're trying to be all pulling in the same direction, but he was like, no, this is like our thing. You do your own thing. And apparently, like, I think I saw there was some struggles of getting Sonic working in a 3D space. There are some like videos of tech demos and stuff, but like it was like the frame rate was like completely tanking and all this sort of stuff, and a lot of that was kind of a big hindrance towards the development of that Sonic game.
Tech demos, which must have been on some kind of PC though, because the actual
it was, and it was when they moved it then onto the Saturn.
It was
the frame rate was tanking.
But I think you could just generally see with Sonic, and I guess why Knights was so much better in its kind of pseudo 2D form on its fixed plane with the single 3D analog stick. So you only had the X and Y, didn't have the Z. That worked. Trying to move Sonic into a 3D space without a second analog stick, I always felt was difficult. Like, it's tricky on the Dreamcast. It's kind of, obviously it works, and like they made some good games, but I never felt like it was really at home even then. I still feel like Sonic in 3D has never quite, for me, hit the heights of like the 2D games in terms of like how perfectly at home and natural it all feels. But definitely at that point on the Saturn, with like the 3D ability it had, the smoothness or lack of smoothness it would have been able to generate for a high-speed Sonic game, like he was right. If that was the call they made to say, actually this just won't work, let's pause and wait, then that would have been the right call. I think I think Knights was, for me, made Saturn all the more special, because like Sonic games were great, and I would have quite happily had a 2D Sonic on the Saturn, but we weren't sort of massive 3D files. That sounds really wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, gameplay is still
files.
reigning supreme, whereas other people like were just like talking about the graphics, and if it wasn't 3D, it sucks and stuff
that's
like
the thing.
that.
We just weren't so fussed by that, and I think, but I would have happily had a 2D Sonic, but I just kind of feel like they made the right call. If they were trying to show 3D and have a Saturn specific game, it was the right call to go with Nights, which they did. But here you find Christmas Nights a little firmer bone, obviously before Sonic Jam and the other sort of pseudo Sonic titles came along. Interesting to note actually, like he does. So in doing a bit of prep, sort of reading around the subject for this, we did come across the Yuji Naka talking about the fact that he then did start to develop Sonic Adventure for the Saturn, and that this was, he had effectively built a model, and that is what he then used in Sonic Jam. So it was kind of the story arc does hold together that he had said he would make a Sonic game, and he did come to it after Nights. It was just the timeline, the fact that the Saturn was reaching the end of its life and this new thing was coming along.
mean, actually, it kind of reminds me of another little thing. And actually, I did a video on it on my old channel, and there's really not that much information about it. But they did start developing a sequel called Air Knights.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of it, but
I remember you telling me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I remember there was an interview in Dreamcast magazine. I can't remember what year. Maybe it was around 2000 or something like that. And he was kind of talking a little bit about it. And he was saying that they did start making it on the Saturn, and then they moved it onto the Dreamcast. But he was kind of describing almost like a Wiimote kind of thing. So it was like, you can detach, like, so actually, here we go. So on the pad, you can pull that bit out there.
Yeah.
He was talking about plugging that into a different kind of controller. And,
because they had patents for loads of stuff, didn't they? And
yeah. And them kind of waving this thing around, and it apparently, like I remember in Dreamcast magazine, it said like he picked up a copy of ODM, official Dreamcast magazine. He was like looping it around, kind of like that.
Well,
and I was always quite interested by that concept, and like obviously they did a little bit of work on it, so if something ever turned up about that one day, I'd be pretty interested. But they did shelve all kind of ideas of a sequel tonight, and then they did go on to the next thing, which I guess was Sonic
I do remember
Adventure.
actually that DLC we were talking about, Sonic Adventure, got people revved up, didn't it? Because isn't it that you get an a cappella version of what's it called? Dreams. And so everyone's like, oh, is this a hint? Are they like dropping a hint saying they're about to do a Nights? It's like, no. just
a ditty.
Just a ditty. Just move on. So the other thing with Christmas Nights is it's not an unlockable. It is just a clever part of the system. So it does use Saturn's clock to recognise that it's Christmas time. And so when you guys turn it on the 1st of December, like, it will start the Advent season, and you can, like, the title screen changes, the music changes, the backdrops, the 3D world changes to make it all Christmassy. And all through the Advent season, I forget the exact dates, but in the run up to Christmas, it's all Christmassy. After Christmas, what is it called? Winter edition, I think. So it's still like kind of looks all snowy and Christmassy and stuff, but it's
and they acknowledge stuff like New Year's and things like that, don't they?
You get like celebration stuff like coming down.
So it's got the thing about when it gets to like Valentine's Day, it replaces some of the things with like hearts that are falling around the place or something. And then one of the other, what was the other one where it was like replaced it to candy canes or something?
They get like one on March the 13th, I want to say. I've got it on the screen over here. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, Rain of Hearts is called on February the 14th, so Valentine's Day. And then on March the 14th, Rain of Candies. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like a Japanese thing or one of the other territories this was released in.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you know.
Yeah, and you get Riala April Fools. So on April Fools, you play as Riala instead of Nights. Yeah, which is very good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And these aren't just cosmetic. So they wear different outfits. I think Clarice and Elliot wear New Year's outfits on New Year's. I don't actually know what they wear the rest of the year. Normal clothes, I guess. But
yeah, I think they do have their normal clothes, and then on Christmas they put on like the kind of Santa looking outfits and stuff. And,
look all cool, and so does Knights. Knights dresses up as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wears a red suit.
Don't they dress up?
Whatever he is. Yeah.
Whatever it is. Whatever he is, it's very good.
Yeah.
Very, very PC. So, but also so when I loaded it up first to start playing it in preparation for this vid, it was set to the special edition. Is that what it's called? So just the all year round edition, basically. And it does a really cool tune on the main title screen, which I don't think I've heard. I must have heard it before, but I don't remember it anyway. And I was like, oh, this is really nice. It's obviously like remixy, but it's like its own thing. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So loads of little gifts that it gives away.
Yeah.
And in fact, the music,
really fun,
the music, it's obviously using stuff from the Knights canon, but it is really worth a mention because.
Oh man, the music of Knights is just like legendary. It's just like, it wouldn't be the same if it didn't have that music and stuff in it. It's so good.
And you were telling me, so I recognised one of the names, which was, who's it now? Fumi Hataya, who we clocked when we were like talking.
Burning Rangers.
Yeah, we were talking Burning Rangers and Sega Rally. Is that the other one he's on? Like, I can't remember.
Yes, I think there was a crossover into that.
And
what was it?
Tomoko
Sasaki, I think. I don't know if they're. I have a weird feeling that they might be married or something like that.
Oh really?
There's a third composer, Fumi Kumatani, but I think Tomoko Sasaki wrote two of my favorites, Suburban Museum and Growing Wings, which plays on the final stage when you're flying over the Twin Seas City. I did see that she was credited with those two, so shout outs to that lady, because you made my youth a lot more happier from listening to those tunes, because they were awesome.
They are
like literally that music cheers me up. Like when you're in the midst of teenage, you've been listening to Nirvana and you're in that kind of mindset, feeling down and like all grungy or whatever, and just to hear these kind of like chirpy Knights tunes really can lift your mood. And that's like, I felt like that's what I needed a bit.
That sums up teenage life, really, doesn't it? Like Nirvana, maybe a bit of Bleach, bit of In Utero on, and then bit of Christmas night, or nights, I suppose.
I'm gonna start wearing my Christmas Nights t-shirt, because I noticed at the minute everyone is wearing, because they sell them in regular supermarkets and Primark and all that. Like there's Nirvana t-shirts everywhere, and it kind of makes you think, like, do these people even know Nirvana or whatever? Is it like a cool thing, like when everyone was wearing like Ramones t-shirts and like they didn't know the songs,
and that Joy Division t-shirt that came out for ages as well. I did find it.
I'm gonna wear my Nights one, and then like in 20 years time from now, everyone's gonna be wearing Christmas Nights t-shirts.
Take plenty of pictures. I was there first. Yeah. Actually, to her credit, or my girlfriend got a Nirvana jumper, like with the the happy smiley face on it, and like she brought it home and was like wearing it. And went, is it okay to wear this? I was like, what are you asking me for?
Basically, you want to erase everything that I've just said. So like go back about 2 minutes and then. Lovely edit.
No, like she was.
Yeah, I love those people who do that stuff. They're really cool.
No, she's that person. But to her credit, she did say, "I don't feel like I should wear this without listening to the music. Should we listen to some Nirvana?" Oh, really? And I was like, "I'm not sure you really want it." Like you're kind of.
Even back in the day, I remember like when I was at college, there was this girl called Rianne. And she had Nirvana everything. She had like it all over her t-shirt, all over her bag, all over her jeans, on her shoes. Like she had little kind of like, smiley faces drawn all over her arms and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this girl knows, like, she must be a huge fan and stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, what's your favorite album? Blah, blah, blah. And I started like talking about like songs off of Bleach. And she was like, oh, I don't really know that. I've only got the Smells Like Teen Spirit single. And I was like, look at you. What are you doing? Like, buy an album, come on. Even if it's Nevermind.
It's the 90s. We all listen to albums.
Yeah, it was the 90s as well. It's like she didn't even know about that. Anyway, that's the whole thing.
That is a thread therefore, from that point to now, because that's.
I sound like I'm gatekeeping Nirvana or something right now, don't I? But
it's only because I think it's only up because Nirvana did it themselves, and they were like, they were so frustrated with that kind of fan, or like it was mainly the jocks, wasn't it? The jocks in America got like all amped up and came to their shows. Oh yeah,
they had a problem with.
But it's on the theme of like people just piling in on the Nirvana craze and stuff. Yeah, so. What they would have thought of today about being able to go into Primark and get Nirvana t-shirts. Who knows? Who knows? But
they'd probably be like cha-ching. Anyway,
possibly one.
Anyway, that's a heck of an angle to go off on their tangent.
We've firmly established that Nirvana and Christmas lights go together. So there you go.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, done deal. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, this is possibly one of the easiest questions that I have ever asked you and will ever ask you on the book club is, would you still play Christmas Nights today?
Man, every year. It's like I'm literally itching for it to like even get close to Christmas to break this bad boy out. So like, and actually it was one of those things that I was thinking about. Like, I think we talked about in our Street Fighter Alpha episode, like that it doesn't remind me of anything. It's not like locked to a time period. I mean, I remember when it came out and like I have memories from back then, but I don't necessarily exclusively associate it with that time because it's one of those games that's always there. Yeah. And it's like, I'm going to sound like Mr. Grady from The Shining, like, I've always been here, except for his Christmas nights or something like that. But it's like...
you thought Nirvana and Christmas nights was a weird mix. Where are you going?
So, when I said that, when I had in my head about it, it's always there, I suddenly had this image of Mr. Grady being like, I've always been here, or whatever he says. Anyway, so so basically, because it's like, I mean, I had that amazing Christmas, that 1996 Christmas when it came out and we did all that stuff and it was really fun and really cool. But then every Christmas past that, it's like we break it out. Like in the second we've got license to. It's like, get Christmas night set up. We are playing that.
It's the ultimate replay value.
That. Yeah.
It's actually fantastic. And I'll link them quite consciously to the upcoming Score Attack because we said it last time, we will launch the Score Attack, the Christmas night Score Attack through December. We'll have prizes, we'll do the whole big thing, we'll put the details on our Twitter account and details will be in the show notes for this. But it is a huge part of the game because Nights itself is a beautifully playable game, but the replay value is in the joy of perfecting the levels. So it's it is Score Attack, but it's instead of just getting the score, you get that satisfaction of the linked together flowing stages, and that is true of Christmas Nights as well. So obviously there's enough of the game there that you get the challenge and the stretch to have to push yourself to get better at the levels to be able to link them together and get good scores. And last year's scores really showed what the range of gameplay is, from the most basic, I can get around the level, to what do we have? Do we have some in the millions? Was it the 500? I can't remember. It's huge. Anyway, it's like multiples of the best I could do. And so there's that huge replay value in the Score Attack. So having a Score Attack challenge at Christmas when you've got the presents going on, you've got the festive music going on, you've got the Score Attack going on, I just think it's great. And that's a minor plug for the fact we're doing it. But it's the more serious point is it is a game that it doesn't need any retro goggles. It doesn't need any nostalgia to play it.
Nah.
It is purely fired up out of merit because it's a perfect game to play.
It is.
Any time of year, but obviously at Christmas.
And also it's stuff like, it's like even outside of the game, it's the way that it's all been done and presented, like with the opening movies and like, like the kind of whole, like, there's no shiny star at the top of the gigantic Christmas tree, or that, that kind of thing.
Dude, that was eerily close to the original narrator. Now look,
I love that original narrator, by the way. Hang on, I just got to give a shout out because I see everyone battering that original narrator, but that is the part of the magic of those cutscenes. Like, she has got some kind of charm. It's because she's not like a natural. You can like tell she's not like a hired voice actor or something like that. But like that is the that is part of the charm of it, because in actually like in the Xbox Live and the PS3 versions, they actually replace the narrator with this very like I don't know, middle class sounding mum, like, you know, like sitting the children down to read them a story in a very posh English accent and all this sort
So
of
basically,
stuff.
you going into Electronics Boutique demanding your copy of the
it's
game.
that same
accent,
dude.
yeah.
But, however, unlike my good self there, this woman seems to lose a lot of the charm. It's like, I don't know, there's something, it's too clean.
She got a candy cane up her ass. That's why. Yeah.
She must do, but it's like Nanny McPhee or something like that. I can't even like. It's like that kind of. I mean, I'm. It's very posh sounding, like, you know, like.
No, it's just wrong.
The streets were littered with whatever, something like that, you know. It's like, I can't even do like an English accent, even though I'm English, but like,
it worries me.
I mean?
You need the rage. That's what we've discovered. You need to be angry.
It is, yeah.
But I got to throw something in.
I just don't like it as much.
I felt like this is where you were going, and it's prompted me.
Okay.
There's an important part of the Christmas light story that we do need to tell.
The shiny star missing atop the gigantic Christmas tree.
Exactly. I was going to ask you just before we depart this book club in this magical realm. The plot of the game is what? Tell us about the plot, because there's an important thing I think we need to get across.
So Elliot and Clarice. So this is after the original nights. So Elliot and Clarice know each other, and basically, I mean, in the I suppose we should lay out a bit of the original nights, and like I did read a bit off the back of the book earlier, but hang on. So it's like just going into the plot very briefly. Held in the dreamland, the game centers around two kids, Elliot and Clarice. They each have nightmares about failures in their life, but with the help of knights, they overcome their hurdles and defeat Wise Man, who's the big enemy at the end, in Nightopia, thus gaining strength from their ideas to succeed. Basically putting right what once went wrong. And at the end of the first
took the bait. He saw where I was going with that.
At the end of the first game, like, so if you get like, I think you have to get A's across the board, but basically Elliot is having a struggle with this basketball game there where these bigger kids, but then by the end, you know, if you get the good ending, he basically is really awesome at that. And then
slams
Clarice, she's in and Clarice is like in a like an X Factor looking kind of thing,
singing,
like where she's doing like an audition and she sings really well. And then there's this additional bit when you get both those endings that like Elliot kind of goes into this theater and sees Clarice basically singing majestically this little la 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 tune kind of thing, and it's really good. And then oh man, it's gonna give me chills thinking about it. But like at the end, it kind of fades, and they're both standing there like in Nightopia on this hilltop, and the music is like so good. I tell you, it's like a kid thing, but I tell you, it moves me. But basically in Christmas night, so it's like after that whole kind of thing, so they're going off on this shopping trip together, and they're kind of walking through the streets, and the streets are so busy and everything's chaotic and everyone's focused on their own stuff, and like, you know, there's like the joy of the occasion is missing and all this sort of stuff, and like and it's all to do with like that tree that's missing at the middle of Twin Seeds City, because they're like, oh, that's missing, and like the Christmas spirit is missing and all this stuff. So basically after you complete the game with both of them, you then get this little cutscene where I think Elliot is like running towards Clarice or something. He trips on some snow, he like slides towards her, he's like sort of like that, and like he crashes into it, and then suddenly everyone like is suddenly broken out of this chaos and this, like, you know, this kind of self-absorbed situation they're in. We're just rushing around doing their own thing, and then they suddenly set their focus on them and they're caring for the kids, like, oh, you okay, and all this stuff. And then everyone starts having to chuckle because, like, you know, you got to have a laugh when someone falls over and, like, you know, has a big catastrophe, don't you? But then it kind of like, you know, it raises that Christmas mood. It's very Ghostbusters 2 at the end, isn't it? When
everyone cheers up,
the whole mood of the city, kind of. But like there's this really cool bit where, like, and I love the final kind of scene of it before it goes into the song, where like Elliot and Clarice are sitting in front of the Twin Seeds Tower and stuff, and just at the last second it kind of does this little fade, and she tips her head onto his shoulder, and it's just like, oh, it is so nice. And yeah, it's just like a real like nice little moment to close it with.
I didn't quite get the link though, because it's like the whole story set up saying they feel like it's missing the Christmas spirits. They need the star atop the trees. They have to go into the Nightopia realm to do it, whatever. But then there's a bit where it just goes, but it was all a dream. And then Elliot slips really over there or something, and it's like, I don't really know where they would go with that.
I don't know if they're just imagining it or whatever, or whatever the thing is, but it's really nice anyway.
It's very nice anyway. No, well, here's a little Easter egg for you for next time you do it.
Yeah.
One of the ladies that leans over Elliot, where they're all caring and stuff, is wearing a belt exactly like Puffy's belt in the game. It's sort of maybe like an idea, well, maybe like a little thing of like, oh, I saw that and then I went into a dream, and that's like where I imagined I was a hedgehog and fought Puffy. I don't know.
Well, actually, all the bosses do represent like these emotions from the idiots. It's like, so it is probably all tied in and connected.
They knew what
these
they were
little
doing.
Nods and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I feel like we've done Christmas nights justice by being kind of random and hard to understand. I felt like we kept the spirit of the game going by mimicking the game in that sense, but I also hope we've managed to somehow convey the joy it brings us, because it really is one of the most joyful games out there. Nights
very uplifting.
Nights itself is a hugely uplifting game. It's just such a pleasure to play. And it is such a fit to do a Christmas version of that game, because it is just pure joy. And
it is the best on the Saturn, because even though it's like, you know, like the other versions, there's been modern versions and they're very good. And I did like enjoy the 360 version of it, and it was cool to have like the online leaderboards, even though everyone hacked them and put these like full scores on it and stuff, which was super annoying. But it's like, in terms of the control method in those versions, they're based off of the PS2 version, which came out in 2008. But like, basically it had a bit of an issue where the controls weren't smooth analog. They were locked to 8 different directions, kind of like basically on the pad there, and everyone like kicked off. So after I think it was like about a week or two later, they basically had to address that, and it's still not like the Saturn version. Like they doubled the actual angles like to 16 kind of 16 way control, but it's not like the pure analog of the Saturn version. So the Saturn version,
bizarre.
But the Saturn version is still the way to go. So if anyone's gonna play this, I mean, it's cool. It's a cool alternative. If you've got the Saturn version to play, that is the one to play.
Yeah, because not plugging this version. I think you said actually, because Christmas Nights is available in the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox Live version as an unlockable. But you don't play.
Yes.
Play the Saturn version, because we said it before. Like the 3D pad is built for Nights, and nothing can mimic it. Even full analog, even like a fully analog version, just on another controller, just doesn't play as well, because the sticks just don't have the same role as a 3D control pad. It just doesn't fit. Play it on the Saturn. It's beautiful.
Definitely. It is. That's where it's meant to be.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed playing it hugely, and I feel like, or we felt like, we should keep the Christmas spirit going. And so having had a wonderful time playing Christmas Nights to kick off the season, and obviously hopefully we'll carry on playing it because we've now got the Score Attack challenge to go. Where are we going to go next with the book club?
We are heading a little place called EA Land, which unfortunately is not so pretty these days, but back on the Mega Drive they were a well-respected company that I actually had a bit of they were a bit prestigious, weren't they? It was like,
I felt like you were going to say respect then, but then just couldn't make the word come out of your mouth.
No. Like, so you separate Mega Drive and everything that came after in terms of EA, but like Mega Drive, they were doing good. Desert Strike, all those kind of games, but we are going to James Pond 2 Robocards, which is a fun little platformer. It was it was EA when they was all right, basically, wasn't it?
With the Christmassy theme, that's why it's earned its place. I remember it being a good game. I could barely remember playing it. but I do remember thinking it was a good game. So we'll find out. But it's nice and snowy and it's got all kind of Christmas stuff threaded through it.
Christmassy stuff in it.
So it's on its way back. But I'll make a prediction, and that is that we're going to get another few moments of posh dibs coming out, because maybe there's a little bit of EA rage in it. Maybe I'm just going to hazard a guess.
Don't get me started on those guys. Yeah, I tell you.
I tell thee, proper skank. That wasn't the word I was going to go for. Well,
I was
good.
wondering too.
Well, I will get playing that, and with a little bit of Christmas lights thrown in, because we've got a good few weeks of Christmas lights left to play. So we can do both. Yeah. We can do both. It's fine. You can have 2 games on the go. But yeah, where we got up next. So good. I feel like we've done well. Yeah. I know what's coming. I can sense it. I can feel it coming. So I'm just gonna open the doors, let it flow.
Oh, I couldn't possibly know what you're talking about, but with everything being said here today. Well, this has been great.
There it is. It's giving me a weird look as well. Oh man, it's harsh.